Hello. Hello.
Vince? Oh,
Okay, mag-test dos. Pa din.
test mic. Test.
Hello. Hello. So, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Okay. So, good evening once again. This is your host, Ms. Winslet Mampos, one of the SUG secretaries, and on behalf of the SUG officers, again and again, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker and to everyone who has shown support for this review. So, be reminders before we start our review session, requesting the Zoom participants to please rename your Zoom name with the format school-name. And if you have any questions, please type them in the Zoom chat box or in the Slido. Link is provided in the chat box and group chat. And for those attending the face-to-face session, if you have any questions, you can either raise your hand or write your questions on a piece of paper. You're also welcome to eat, provided that it will not cause any disturbance to others. And lastly, when the review session ends, please help maintain cleanliness by picking up any trash you see and arranging the chairs as you go. So this evening, we will have the continuation of general geology. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the review session. So without further ado, let us all welcome back our esteemed speaker for general geology, none other than Sir Christian Paul Escarian.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Okay. Thank you for those who attended on site and for those joining online. Can you hear me clearly? Please send a thumbs up or copy message na lang via the Zoom chat box if okay lang yung audio. Hello. Also, a link for the Slido na app is also provided through the Zoom chat box. So if you have any questions, just or feel free to type in your questions using that particular platform. Okay, and for those joining on site, just raise your hand or pwede mag-send in or mag-sulat kayo ng questions nyo sa papel if ever. Okay, so perhaps this might be the last session nung Gen JO. Hopefully matapos na natin talaga ngayong gabi kasi overdue na din to. Okay, so last time we were able to discuss Earth as a planet, structural geology and tectonics, and Earth materials. For the landforms component or the geomorphology component, we've covered half of it. Hence, we'll continue the remaining half and proceed with stratigraphy, historical geology, and geopsy. However, for stratigraphy, historical geol, and geopsy, very brief lang din yung i-discuss ko for this. So more on question and answer. Okay lang ba? So I presume na both stratigraphy and historical geology were extensively discussed sa inyo by Kenneth and Patch respectively. Okay, so without further ado, we'll resume with the Q&A portion for Gen Geo, starting with the geomorph component. Okay, we ended way back no session 2 sa item number 20 for landforms. Now for question number 21, among these common volcanic eruption types, ano yung nire-refer ng question na to? So this is an extremely explosive eruption producing ash columns extending many tens of miles into the stratosphere and that spread out into an umbrella shape. Okay? Pwede paki-show yung chat box. Okay? What's your answer? Okay. The correct answer is letter B, Plinian. So examples of historical volcanic eruptions that exhibited such type of eruption, one is the Mount St. Helens eruption in 1980. One unique feature of this eruption is instead of vertical yung eruption niya, it's lateral. So if you happen to watch different clips ng Mount St. Helens, makikita nyo na lateral yung explosion niya. Nonetheless, it generated very high eruption volume pa rin. Another example, in the Philippines, ano kaya? Exactly, Mount Pinatubo. So in the 20th century, ang Mount Pinatubo eruption is categorized as the second largest or ano ba, cataclysmic eruption in the 20th century. Yung first is for Mount St. Helens. So prior its culmination ng eruption, yung pinakamalaking eruption ng Mount Pinatubo in June 15, 1991, few days before nito is meron na siyang subplinian or strombolian eruption. Okay. How about for lava fountaining or even lava flows? What type of volcanic eruption? Plinian, Sursean, Strombolian, Hawaiian, or none of the above? Okay. For those joining online, what's your answer? Okay. Okay lang yung nasa online. What's your answer sa online? Si Jex? Okay, letter D. Exactly. The correct answer is Hawaiian. So other way to describe Hawaiian eruption is that it is effusive. Another, it is quiescent. Other manifestations of your Hawaiian type of eruption is fissure eruption. So the next two slides will show how a Hawaiian eruption looks like. This one is in Kilauea volcano way back 2023, June 7. The other one is in Iceland. As you can see, the type of eruption here is still Hawaiian, but along a fissure. So technically, we can also term this as fissure eruption. This figure, on the other hand, shows a summary of the different volcanic eruptions. Again, Plinian and Ultraplinian is the most cataclysmic, whereas the quiescent one is the Hawaiian. Mainly, they are defined. One is in terms of their eruption column height, and then the other one is in terms of explosiveness. Now, just a review. What influences the explosiveness of a volcano? Okay, viscosity. Okay, amount of volcanic gases or volatiles. Now, for viscosity, it is mainly determined by chemical composition, and the other one is temperature, exactly. Okay, should we still define this? Well, for strombolian, typically, still may thick magma, but medyo viscous lang siya. Relatively viscous compared sa typical basaltic magma. Subplinian, on the other hand, it ranges from intermediate to felsic types of magma. Hence, they are more explosive. How about Mount Mayon na eruption in 1661? What type of eruption kaya yun? Tama, strombolian. So the last major eruption of Mount Mayon exhibited strombolian eruption. What's the difference between phreatic and phreatomagmatic? When do we say it's phreatic? Exactly. Water driven or mainly it's ang manifestation mo sa surface is steam. For phreatomagmatic, you have magma water eruptions. Still, you can generate mas malalaking mga steams. Okay. Number 23, Budaho is an example of what? Composite, cinder cone, shield volcano, and stratovolcano. Okay, so using the method of elimination, Siyempre, wala na yung composite and stratovolcano. So it leaves either cinder or shield volcano. But we know that Philippines, mainly ang type of magma natin is, for our volcanic centers, they are mostly intermediate. So hindi siya pwede shield volcano. So ang correct answer is cinder cone. Number 24, on which island can you find the active volcano Mount Raga? Okay, exactly in Mindanao, particularly where? Okay, Lanao del Sur. So for you to find the complete list of active volcanoes in the Philippines, you may click this link as you receive the lecture notes later. And then, ma-access din dito yung different definitions for active, potentially active, and inactive volcanoes. So just to review, active volcanoes are those with, okay, historic eruptions for the last 10,000 years, and yung kumbaga recorded or catalog na data is for the last 600 years. For potentially active, they are morphologically young, but there are no historical or recorded evidence of past eruption. For inactive volcanoes, wala siya, highly eroded, but still, it is formed through volcanism. Okay, so other landforms related to volcanoes. Number 25, a hot spring that periodically erupts. No, exactly. Letter E. Mud pot on the other hand. Ano tong mud pot? Hot pot? Parang gutom na ah. Okay, so mainly it's acidic hot spring. Then, as the term implies, yung kanya, yung mga materials or mostly mud or clay sides. So mostly these muds or yung kanya, yung composition niya are mostly clays. Fumarole, on the other hand, these are volcanic vents that emit gases, either sulfur dioxide, pedrine carbon dioxide. So we call them sulfatara and MOFET respectively. Travertine terrace. Where can we find this land feature? Cars. Typically, sa caves. Tufa, on the other hand, yes, dried up na lake, pwede. So, pwede rin siya karst-related. So, it's still a type of limestone. Sorry. Number 26. It is the opposite process of subsidence, where underlying soil expand and push the ground upwards, causing damages to overlying structures. What's the correct answer? For those joining online, letter D, rebound. C, cave. Okay, the correct answer for this is letter C. Okay, cave. Differential settlement, on the other hand, or before I proceed with differential settlement, here's a figure showing how frost cave occurs. Mainly, it's driven by your groundwater na nasa subsurface. Then yung groundwater is, kapag nagpo-frozen siya, it will expand. Hence, it will cause an outward force. Then, it can then cause your overlying surface to experience local uplift. For differential settlement, on the other hand, it's mainly exemplified by the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Differential settlement happens if your subsurface or your near surface materials are mainly composed of what material? Okay, I'll give you choices. Sand, silt, or clay. Okay, clays. Clays are compressible na mga materials. Hence, they are the ones that are more susceptible to compaction And ito, thereby leading to differential settlement. So what happened sa Leaning Tower of Pisa is that we have contrast dun sa subsurface. So as you can see, sa upper part, it's composed of sandy and clay silts. So at some point, some engineers decided to have this realigned, but it's already a historical landmark. So it will no longer be the Leaning Tower of Pisa. It is straightened out pa nila. Okay? So it's hindi pwedeng straight tower daw. Leaning tower na. Number 27. It is the combined action of frost, shattering, jelly fluxion, and slope process occurring around snow patches. So part of this is abrasion by snow patches and avalanche. Okay, that's correct, innovation. So nivation is a collective term referring to both mass wasting and erosive processes happening in a glacial environment. Okay. For a while. Yes, sir. Okay na. Okay, apologies kasi medyo strict yun yung university kasi nagtitipid daw ng kuryente. Anyway. Hmm? Okay. Apologies for the abrupt interruption, but anyway, ano pa ba? Next, number 28. What is the largest temperate desert in the world? Okay, we have different types of glaciers. Okay, Antarctica, it's a polar desert. Sahara, it's not located sa temperate na region. It's located sa sub-equatorial na region. Same with Gobi. So it's letter D, Patagonian. Okay? Now, for the types of glaciers, it can be classified based on the thermal, morphological, and dynamic classification. So yung sa thermal classification, part doon yung temperate. So as defined here, temperate glaciers are those with near pressure melting temperature exact near upper surface in winter or mainly dun sa mga upper elevations. So they are mainly, meron kang ano ba, almost balanced when it comes to melting and freezing. Okay, polar or cold-based glaciers below pressure melting temperature. So ano ba meaning nitong pressure melting? Ang meaning lang nito is if you apply enough pressure, it can induce melting. Isipin nyo na lang, kapag meron kayong ice, be it yung ice na tag-piso o tag-dos, and then you have a copper string. So kapag mag-exert ka ng force sa copper string, it can cause localized melting due to pressure. However, if you remove yung force mo, mag-start siya mag-freeze ulit and ma-embed na yung copper wire. Try nyo yun. So that's pressure melting. Then some polar glaciers, they are characterized by frozen base. So ratsada lang natin to. Okay, morphological classification, so mainly based on the form. Alpine glaciers, they are high elevated na mga areas. We have cirque glacier. So cirque are bowl-shaped na mga features. So if there are glaciers na nakapatong sa kanya, we call them cirque glacier. Valley glacier, mostly composed of your moraines. Also, you have tidewater glacier. So mainly yung seawater is nag-freeze. Also, you have Piedmont or valley glaciers. And of course, ice sheets and ice caps. They are the largest types of glaciers currently. Okay? So, okay lang ba na bilisan ko lang to dito na part? So, we'll proceed with the question and answer. So don't worry, I'll be providing all of this. For dynamic classification, mainly it's the difference between accumulation and ablation. So accumulation is mainly accumulation of your snow, and then yung snow mako-convert siya into firn and eventually into glacier. Ablation, it's a process involving melting, evaporation, sublimation, calming, and wind erosion of your glaciers. There are also cases that your glaciers are subjected to surges. So as mentioned here, there are times na yung glacier or glacial advance, yung speed niya might go up to tens of meters per day. So this is relatively fast. Yeah. Okay, number 29. It is a glacial landform characterized by sharp crest or ridge that separates two glaciers or series. Sure, letter D. Sinong sasagot ng A? Letter B. Okay, sa online, letter D. Okay, unfortunately, the correct answer is letter, ano man? Well, it's letter A actually. Okay? It's a sharp crest or ridge that separates. Ay, wait lang. Sorry. It should be letter D rather. Okay? So, arrays are basically knife-like ridges and they separate one cirque dito sa isang side and the other side. However, if it separates three cirques and it's located sa apex part ng glacier, yun yung horn. Okay, number 30. These are asymmetric bedrock bumps or hills with a gently sloping and abraded up glacier or stoss face and a quarried or plucked down glacier na face. Okay? The correct answer is, what's the correct answer? Okay, it's letter A. Ross Mountainy. Okay? Ross Mountainy. Ang fjord, the other hand, what's fjord? They are, okay, inlet. And typically, they are adjacent to your hanging valleys. Terrains, they are exotic rocks. So basically, they are compositionally different compared dun sa surrounding rocks. For example, ophiolites, they are considered terrains because they are mainly derived from your oceanic crust, which are upthrusted towards your oceanic or continental crust. Monadnocks, on the other hand, they are, okay, residual hills. Other term is inselbergs. Okay, here's how a Ross Mountainy looks like. And Ross Mountainy, along with other erosional features, will also tell us the general direction of your glacial advance in the past. Number 31, it is a low saddle or gap across a ridge or between two peaks. Okay, tama. Letter A, call. Paternoster, these are lakes. Other term for this is finger lakes. Then drumlins, they are glacial depositional landforms. Tarns, on the other hand, what are tarns? They are lakes na andun sa spirit. So for you to better visualize, this is how a fall looks like. As you can see, it's a gap along your arid or along your ridge. These are the tarns. So other landforms, ito, Hanging Valley. The depositional landforms, you have espers, drumlins, kettle lakes, moraines, and outwash plains. Ano pa ba? Other features? Ano pa kaya pwede? Your glacial drift. Your glacial drifts can be either sorted or unsorted. So for unsorted, mainly those are the tills. So yung till, mainly composed siya ng mga different sizes ng mga weathered bedrock. It may also contain glacial erratics. What are glacial erratics? Erratics are, yes, exactly, foreign rock na na-transport lang through glacial action. For the sorted, examples include your outwash, less, and espers. Outwash, they exhibit stratification. Okay, there's a question. What's the difference po between fjord and... Okay, apologies. Apparently, ngayon ko lang din na-encounter yung... paano ba pag-pronounce niyan? Fjord? Okay, perhaps other reviewees know what J-A-R-D? So, ngayon ko pa yung na-encounter na term. They are just the same. Okay. I see. All right. Sige. Thank you for clarifying. Okay. Now we'll delve into the desert landforms. Number 32 is, it is the lifting and removal of loose material from the Earth's surface. Yes, it's letter T, deflation. Okay, isahin lang natin, mabilis lang. The wind erosion can manifest into three processes. It could be either corrosion or abrasion, deflation or attrition. So abrasion, we have pre-existing particles that will grind with one another or with your bedrock or yung mga other rocks. So typically, the abrasive effect is brought by your sand particles. So better kapag quartz sand kasi mas durable siya and higher yung abrasion capacity. So abrasion can manifest into different forms or it can cause rather polishing, heating, grooving, and faceting. So different features that can be formed through abrasion are as follows. So kindly go over na lang dito sa anim na to. So yardams, these are grooves. Okay, another question. What's the difference between paternoster and torrent lakes? Okay, good question. Paternoster lakes, they usually occur in series and mas elongated ang form niya. Hence, it is called as finger lakes. Torrents, on the other hand, they are just water accumulations dun sa skirt or yung bowl shape na feature. Okay? Again, they differ in terms of morphology. Okay, next, ventifacts. So associated terms sa ventifacts include yung mga Drake-Canfer, Zwei-Canfer. So they differ in terms of the number of polished surfaces. Okay, sorry, may mga transitions. Okay, also we have hoodoos, also known as chimney, earth pyramid, tempera. We have wind caves or alcoves or niches. Pedestal rocks. Okay, quick review lang. Pedestal rocks are formed due to, we have one, contrast in terms of the composition. Another is the abrasive effect. So abrasion is most efficient dito sa may bottom part. Deflation, on the other hand, it's the lifting and removal of loose material from the Earth's surface. Ayan. So as you can see, sa initial na setup niya, you have a combination of sand or gravel size ng mga deposits. So owing to your wind energy, mare-remove yung mga fine particles, hence ma-expose yung larger, coarser particles. Hence, you can form either blowouts or lag deposits. So blowouts are mainly depressions, as shown here. Lag deposits are this. So I think if tama ba ang pagkakuan ko, pagka-recall, lag deposits are also known as deflation lags or desert pavement. Ayun. So other terms for lag deposits are as follows. We have regs, hamadas, terriers, and ergs. Sorry. Okay, next, accretion. It is a mutual where particles carried along by wind, especially if your sands or your fines are suspended and they collide with other particles. Attrition. So what controls wind erosion? One is, yes, velocity. Higher velocity, higher erosive effect. Surface cover, so higher area na nasa subject to wind, then higher erosion. And yes, grain size, of course. So mas madaling makarry yung mga silt or sand size deposits and clay deposits. Okay, these are the different aeolian sediment transport processes. We have suspension, saltation, creep. So among these three, ano yung nakaka-carry lang ng very fine particles? Yes, so suspension. Saltation, so basically, jumps. So pwede rin sand grains or silt grains. And then creep or traction, these are relatively larger grains. Ayan. Okay. Deserts, on the other hand, as defined by Peveril 1953, they are defined mainly on the amount of precipitation or annual precipitation. So if it receives less than 250 mm, they are considered arid. Semi-arid if 250 to 500. And if at least 12 consecutive months without rainfall, they are extremely arid regions. Of course, if you are dealing with aeolian landforms, you'll be dealing with the different types of dunes. So as defined here, ano kayong sagot? Ano ang sagot sa tanong? Okay, for those joining online, what's your answer? Barkan, parabolic, transverse, or star dunes? Okay, the correct answer is letter A, Barkan. Okay, so dunes, basically they are comprised of your steep portion, which is yung leaf, and then gentler portion, which is your toss. So these are the different types of sand dunes. You have Barkan, transverse, or longitudinal dunes. Sorry, transverse dunes, longitudinal ba? Ano, linear dunes ang longitudinal. So transverse dunes, as the term implies, your dunes are oriented perpendicular relative to your wind direction. Linear dunes, they are parallel to the dominant wind direction. Parabolic dunes, they are U-shaped dunes with opening and facing upwind. So it's basically, ano ba? It's the inverted Barkan. Star dunes, you have different dunes oriented sa different directions due to varying wind direction. Okay, so other parameters for your dunes to form are as follows. Part of the parameter is the presence of vegetation and other, ano ba? Other boundaries or mga, ano bang po nito, other term. Other na mga obstacles, be it natural, natural obstacles. Okay, another is the abundance of stanchion. Okay, here are the series of figures showing the different types of dunes. Number 34. So ito for the mass basing or hill slope na mga landforms. Defined as a moving slab of soil or bedrock, moving downslope as a pool remaining in contact with the underlying material. Okay. The correct answer is letter A, slide. Yung slide, it can be further classified as translational or rotational slides. So rotational slides have a concave cross-section. For translational slides, they follow pre-existing planes of weakness, mainly your bedding plane. Other than that, mass movements can be classified based on the type of movement, the material or composition, the velocity, the amount of water or saturation, thickness, and the triggering factors. For rain-induced landslides, yung nagre-research or nagkakandak ng studies related to this is MGB. For earthquake-induced, it's PVOX. They have separate maps for each. Okay, this figure and the next three figures show the different types of mass flows. And okay. Now, in terms of the anatomy of a landslide or a slump, it's quite a mouthful. But defined here is, ano kaya? Crown, major scarp, zone of depletion, or the main body? Okay, there's a question from Jonel. Anong type of mass wasting nga po yung general term na landslide? Okay, yung layman's term na landslide, it belongs actually to slide, particularly slumping or the rotational type of slide. Okay? Yun yung for landslide. Okay, anyway, going back to the question, what's the answer? Okay, it's main body. Okay? As shown here, this is your main body. And it is in contact with your surface of rupture. So other parts of the landslide include your crown, scarps, minor scarps, and others. So as you can see here, sa zone of accumulation, we have the tip and toe. Ang toe is itong full stretch, and then yung tip, it's the farthest point na naabot ng landslide material. So the definitions of each as provided by UNESCO in 1993 are the following. Pero yung kailangan nyo i-familiarize dito yung mga common is yung crown, main scarp. Number 36, the largest daily tidal ranges are associated with blank tides. Okay, tama. Spring tides. Okay, so definition-wise, tides are defined as the periodic rise and fall of your seawater or sea level. It's mainly driven by the gravitational attraction between Earth, Moon, and Sun. So in the case of spring tides, if nagparallel yung Sun, Moon, and Earth, nare-reinforce yung gravitational pull. Hence, you'll have a higher tidal bulge or tidal range. So what's meant by tidal range is the difference between your high tide and low tide level. So during spring tides, example niyan is, let's say tidal range is nasa 1.5 or 2 meters. But during neap tides, since naka-perpendicular yung orientation ng sun, moon, and earth, you'll have a limited tidal range, mga 0.5 lang or 1 meter. Okay, so these are the figures that show the difference between here, this is your neap tide, this one is your spring tides. So much more kapag naka-perihelion, then naka-perigee pa talaga. Okay, so mas mataas yung tidal range if ever. Okay, now, other question. Where can we find sa Earth yung area na may pinakamataas na tidal range? Equator ba? Specific place. Okay, I'll give you 3 choices. Okay, letter A, ayun, tama. So, sagot ni Kagawan, Kenneth Mark. So, Bay of Fundy. Exactly. Bay of Fundy in Nova Scotia. Okay? So, as you can see here, ang tidal range niya umaabot up to, may cases na umabot siya up to 15 meters. So what causes the high tidal range is mainly based on the form or morphology of your coast. And another is its tidal pattern. So yung tidal pattern, it is classified into 3, right? We have diurnal, semi-diurnal, and mixed tidal pattern. So when we say diurnal, yung specific place experiences only one high tide, one low tide per day. Semi-diurnal kapag 2 high tides, 2 low tides. Mixed if meron kang 2 high tides, 2 low tides, but at different tidal ranges. So yun yung mixed diurnal. Okay, so you can further search as to why Bay of Fundy experiences such phenomenon online. Number 37. A coastal landform characterized by beach deposits that project narrowly towards the sea and is tied to the coast at one end. Okay, tama. Spit. So if a spit connects with other landform, let's say an island, we call it as tombolo. Ayan. Tombolos are also known as sandies. Okay, number 38. Malapit na tayo matapos sa Geomor. 38. Refers to the process of shoreline migration out of a basin and onto land during retrogradation. Tama. Transgression. Since yung shoreline mo is nag-move landwards, meaning nagkaroon ka ng sea level rise. So if meron kang sea level fall, we term it as regression. Letter C, on the other hand, what's interglaciation? Okay, follow-up question. Sa current time natin, nasa interglaciation period ba tayo? Or not? Yes. We are currently experiencing warmer global average temperatures. So it undergo or the earth undergoes a cycle of glaciation and interglaciation. So the last ice age was way back 11,600 years ago pa. So after that, nag-start na yung interglacial period, which is currently yun yung in-experience. Number 39, these are wedge-shaped fluvial landforms developing adjacent to channels in response to changes in depositional energy attributed to episodes of flooding. Yazoo, back swamp, alluvial terrace, natural levees. Okay, tama. Letter D, natural levees. Okay? So later, makikita niyo paano siya na form, but we'll define muna ano yung yazoo. Yazoo are semi-parallel or parallel streams na tawag ito na malapit dun sa main na river or main na stream. Back swamps, on the other hand, okay, these are waterlogged areas. They are mainly bounded by your natural levees. Nagkaroon ka lang ng tubig doon due to a flood na episode. Alluvial terraces, they are old floodplain. They are formed either due to sea level fall or uplift. Yes. Meandering. Okay, that's a good question. It depends. Kasi there are a lot of factors. One is your discharge or yung runoff along the river. Another is your sediment load. So if ever, constant ang discharge mo but yung sediment load is nag-vary and at some point, na-choke na yung some part nung outlet ng Yazoo. So it might happen na magiging ephemeral na siya. Hindi na siya perennial. Okay? So morphology-wise, typically Yazoos are oriented or they follow a straight to semi-sinus na pattern. Okay? But hindi siya meandering. Ano pa? This one, it is a figure that shows the formation of your natural leg. And then, ito naman yung schematic diagram, how it is further formed. Okay. So other floodplain landforms, you have oxbow lakes. You have your meander scars, your meander scrolls, the blocks which mark your floodplain terrace. Ano pa? Ano yung tawag dun sa line na deepest along the stream? Okay, we call it as talweg. Sorry? Bluffs and arroyos. Nakalimutan ko yung arroyo na definition. But for bluffs, they are mainly your, ano ba, the old banks of your old floodplain. Arroyo is, ano ba yung sa arroyo? Same lang ba sila? Who can clarify? Arroyo. Pwede pa kay basa dyan? Arroyo, also called as wash, is a dry water course that temporarily or seasonally fills and flows after sufficient rain. Okay, thank you. So yung arroyo as defined here, they are considered as ephemeral channels. Might be still adjacent to your streams. And pwede rin siya maging yazoo at some point. Arroyo. Okay, also you have splays, chute, and then meander scrolls. Number 40, lacustrine environment. So deepest lake in the Philippines is, okay, it's Lake Mainit, formed through transtensional or normal faulting. So mainit, Lake Mainit in general, what type of structural features? Okay, initially, it was thought that it's a pull-apart basin formed through, yun nga, transtension. But based on the studies conducted by Manila Mining Corporation, by Dr. Quebral, it's actually a graben. Yes, it's a graben. Grabe. Sa Kwan, Malimono Ridge, and then yung sa eastern part niya, nakalimutan ko yung name na. So Malimono is along this portion, then another one here. Okay, number 41. What is the largest delta in the world? Okay. Letter B. However, in terms of yung river na may pinakamataas na discharge and highest sediment load, it's Amazon. Okay? So deltas, mainly they are wetlands that form sa rivers as they empty to another water body or even inland. Deltas are classified based on the shape or morphology. Another is their dominant process or influence. So for influence, we have wave-dominated, tide-dominated, Gilbert, Esperin deltas. Okay. For shape, on the other hand, we have arcuate, which is dito derived yung delta na definition. Also, you have cuspate, bird's foot or bird foot delta, inverted, inland, or abandoned delta formed through avulsion or stream piracy. Okay, so as you can see, this is a classic arcuate shape or delta. Yan, yung triangle shape na morphology. For the cuspate delta, it resembles a tooth. So in this case, is it wave dominated, tide dominated? What do you think? Basahin yung caption. It's wave dominated. For arcuate delta, they are tide dominated. Okay, river dominated. Mainly the sediments or sediment load coming from your fluvial na system. Okay, also you have bird foot delta. As you can see, its morphology resembles more or less a bird's foot. Okay, so itong image, it's a false color image para ma-enhance lang yung features. Stable? That I don't know. But mostly these are composed of your poorly compacted sediments and they are always changing owing to flood episodes, changes in terms of sediment load, another the influence of your tides, your waves. So it's considered as relatively unstable area. Okay, you have inverted deltas. So instead of ano ba? Instead of merging into a single stream, it diverges into multiple streams, or we call them as distributaries. Estuarine delta, so estuary, these are areas where your fresh and marine waters interact. They are brackish in nature. So just like inverted deltas, you can form distributaries. So here's an example of an inland delta in, where is this? Africa. Okay. So other process related to delta formation is avulsion or stream piracy. So we know that water will always find the easiest path. So in case na medyo choke na yung isang part, it will find another way. It will divert its course. Hence, leaving the previous channel. So iniwan siya sa ere. Anyway. Number 42, cars. Okay. Urvala. Other term for dolines. Sinkholes. Other term. Butas. Wallet. Ano pa? South American term. South or North American term? Starts with letter C. Next letter is E. Cenote or cenotes. 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 Okay, there are different types of sinkholes. This classification is based kay Tihansky 1999. Okay, but I will be skipping this part. Ayan. So we have solution, subsidence, collapse, sinkholes. But sa field, especially kapag hindi pa nag-manifest yung collapsing coal. Other indicators include yon, tilted na mga trees na oriented sa isang central region. Another is mga medyo depressed na mga parts, lalo na kapag underlain sa bicarbonates. Yan. Okay, still related to sinkhole. What if yung sinkhole is na-form sa marine environment? Okay, we call them as blue hole. Or even brackish na waters. We call them as blue hole. Okay, GIS related. Positive curvature values of a process DEM correspond to what hill slope geometry? Okay, kapag positive or greater than 0, they are convex. Kapag 0, flat. Kapag less than 0 or yung mga negative, or let's say 0.1 or negative values, they are concave features. Okay, number 44. This is the penultimate stage of landform evolution, according to William Morris Davis. Okay. Letter C or letter D? Okay. There are references na i-include yung letter C, but yung pinakatama is letter D, peneplain. Okay. Actually, pwede rin siya ma-consider, pero yung pinaka-proper talaga is letter D. Okay, other information related to the division cycle. Division cycle is considered as, ano ba? It is an example of an output derived from landform chronosequence method. So basically, it starts with an initial phase and it culminates with, in this case, peneplain. Whereas for the dynamic equilibrium by Hack, he argumented that landforms will always undergo change depending on changes din dun sa forces. So hindi siya kumbaga, ano ba, hindi siya nag-follow ng specific stages, but according to him, it is ever-changing. Number 45. Last question for Geomar. A scale that is used in raised relief map, plant and technical drawings or cross-section in order to emphasize the vertical features. Okay, letter. Okay, for those joining online. Okay na ba yung signal so far? Okay, yes. Thank you, Kenneth, Noel, Kent, and others. It's letter D, vertical exaggeration. Example nun is if nag-generate ka ng elevation profile sa Google Earth, yung pinapakitang profile doon is vertically exaggerated. Para mas makita mo yung differences in terms of their elevation or relief. Okay. Next up, stratigraphy. Na-discuss na talaga to ni Kenneth, but how would you define stratigraphy? Yes. Okay. Good question. Yung elevation profile na na-generate out from Google Earth, pwede siya ma-adjust. So, pwede i-lengthen mo yung profile niya, pwede mo rin i-shorten para mas realistic siya. As to the scale, hindi ko alam yung specific, but it's apparently vertically exaggerated. Pero yun lang, kapag nag-Google Earth kayo, hindi kasi siya that high yung resolution. So even kapag mag-view kayo nung kanya, yung 3D or yung tilted na view, may mga parts na kahit flat siya is concave yung pagkaka-represent sa Google Earth model. But it can still provide you a general overview of the study area kung mag-field kayo. So better siguro na alternative would be the use of a high-resolution DEM. Okay, next, stratigraphy. What's stratigraphy? It's a branch of geology focusing on what? Stratal rock sequence and how they relate to the different events that happened throughout the geologic time. There are three main branches of stratigraphy. Ano yun? We have chronostratigraphy, biostratigraphy, and the one that deals with rocks, lithostratigraphy. Of course, when we are dealing with stratigraphy, we'll be dealing with the laws of superposition. Yun. So, sino kaya? Okay, basic na to sa inyo. It's Nicolas Steno. So, other laws of stratigraphy proposed by Steno are as follows. Superposition. So, quick check lang. How would you define superposition? Okay, exactly. Importante na gano'n. In an undeformed sequence, layers that are located on top are relatively younger compared to those layers na nasa ibaba. Okay, original horizontality, all layers are deposited originally as horizontal layers. Lateral continuity, your deposits will extend laterally until such time that it will encounter a natural barrier or wala ka ng source of deposit. Cross-cutting relationships, the one that cuts are always younger compared to the one or the layers that na-cut. Inclusions are older compared dun sa nag-enclose sa kanya. Okay, number 2. Thick successions of interbedded shale and sandstone are called as bluff. They are normal graded beds that progress from deep water and turbidity flow deposits to shallow water shales and sandstones. What's your answer? Online? Letter D? Please? Okay, it's flesh deposit. Bowdings, on the other hand, they are formed due to, okay, tension. It's a French term referring to sausage. Dilational jugs, they are formed through transpression or by times na shearing. And it forms typically on competent rocks and it exhibits brittle deformation. Marl, on the other hand, what's marl? Calcareous? Okay. Marls are a combination of mainly carbonate material and siliciclastic material. Okay, so siliciclastic, these are mainly clays and silts. So, itong marls, they form in a relatively, low energy environment. Yung carbonate source niya, it's formed through accumulation of your organisms or precipitation of your carbonates. So this is how a flesh looks like. Flesh. Number 3, a break that separates older metamorphic rocks from younger sedimentary rocks immediately above them is a type of what unconformity? Okay, nonconformity. For number 4, a surface separating younger overlying sedimentary strata from eroded igneous or metamorphic rocks. Okay, still nonconformity. Pang-overthink lang. Okay. These are the 4 types of unconformities. But unconformities, they represent periods of non-deposition and or erosion. Okay, we have angular, disconformity, paraconformity, nonconformity. So disconformity and paraconformity are almost similar. However, for disconformity, apparent ang kanyang erosional surface. Whereas for paraconformity, it's almost not visible. Yung clues mo na lang dito are your inclusions nung previously eroded strat. Okay, situational type. Number 5. Conglomerate sandstone, siltstone, shale sequence from older to younger. I mean, you have a sequence of conglomerate, sandstone, siltstone, and shale. So these beds are perfectly parallel and deposited normally that you only observe that there are limestone inclusions sa lower part ng siltstone. Ano kaya yung unconformity? Yes, paraconformity. So keywords here, perfectly parallel, another, limestone inclusions. Number 6, a short period of interruption, deposition, sedimentation with little to no erosion. Okay, diastem. But if it's quite long, hiatus. Discontinuity. What are discontinuities? What are discontinuities? They are quite different with disconformity. Okay? You can define discontinuity based on yun. One is yun yung sa seismic discontinuities. The other one is based on structural breaks. Okay? Mainly a layer separating doon sa layer na competent versus the layer with a relatively low tensile strength or low strength, low competence. Typically, ginagamit tong term na discontinuity sa content, engineering geol or geotechnical engineering. Number 7, what is the basic unit of lithostrat? Okay, formation. And formations are defined based on, it should be, your lithology should be what? We have 1, mappable. We say it's mappable if yung scale is around 1:10,000 or 1:5,000. Ano pa? It is distinct. And then another, it should be lithologically homogeneous. Okay, also I've extracted a table that shows the different units or terms associated for each subfield of stratigraphy. For lithostrat, you are dealing with terms such as group, formation, member, beds, flows. For biostrat, you have biozones, range, interval, lineage, others. Magnetostrat, polarity. For chronostrat, you have here ionothem, which are, itong sa chronostratigraphic units, they are the rock units, right? That are defined by a specific geologic time. Yung geochronologic units, they are your time units as defined by your rocks or rock units and other characteristics. Number 8. So this is the science of dating rocks and determining the time sequence of events in the history of the Earth. Okay. Chronostratigraphy. Number 9. The following are chronostratigraphic units except. Okay, tama. 3 and 4. Letter B. Yeah. Okay, tapos na tayo sa stratigraphy. Okay, do you like to have a quick break or proceed na tayo sa histo? Very short lang din yung histo. Break? O sige, 5-minute break muna tayo. Ano yun, Jack? Okay. Sige. So for those taking their dinner or merienda, continue lang. We'll have a working lecture. Okay. For the historical geology, before I start, I'd like to recommend the book of Wikander Monroe. So every end ng chapter, meron siyang summary, meron din siyang mga questions, and meron din siyang answer key. So good siya na reference. Lalo na kung nagmamadali kayo, diretso na kayo dun sa summary and questions. Also, don't forget to not familiarize, but memorize the GTS, including the major geologic and biologic events. Part of that are the 5 major extinction events. Okay. Now, for question number 1, for historical geology, what's the answer? Okay. Anong sagot mo, Catherine GIE? Outgassing. Okay? It's volcanic outgassing. Volcanic. Outgassing lang, rather. Number 2, the beginning of the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea occurred during the it started even during Paleozoic. Okay? But it completely broke up during Mesozoic, particularly during the early Jurassic period. So Pangaea only lasted between 200 to 174 million years ago. So that's roughly ilan? 26 million years lang siya nag-exist. Okay, number 3. Which eon of the geologic time scale means visible light? Okay, Phanerozoic eon. Now for Precambrian eon, what are the tawag nito? For Precambrian, what are the different eons under sa kanya? Okay, Hadean, Archean, and then Proterozoic. For Phanerozoic, divided into Paleozoic, Mesozoic, and Cenozoic. Okay, number 4. A type of trace fossil which indicates feeding behavior in soft sediment characterized by a U-shaped burrow. Okay, all of these 4 are trace fossils. Okay, answer is letter B, Zoophycus. Ang Scoritos, parang pitted siya na limestone na medyo kulay brown. Parang ganun yung itsura niya. So it's trace fossil formed by vertical cylindrical burrows with distinct lining. Brucophycus, it's a forked bilobe trace. So basically, dalawa yung lobes niya. For Cruziana, it's a trace fossil consisting of elongate bilobe, approximately bilaterally symmetrical burrows. So you can search na lang yung itsura nitong tatlo. This is for Zoophycus. As you can see, it exhibits a more or less U-shaped profile. So burrow niya to. Number 5. Beginning of the Paleozoic era is marked by the appearance of the first life forms with hard parts. What are those hard parts? Yes, exoskeletons or shell, spikes, teeth or chitins, scales. Ano daw? Lungs? Sa Okay, number 6. Which of the following events is not associated with the late Paleozoic era? Paspasa JMO eh. Yes, it's letter D. First, flowering plants. Because the flowering plants or other term is Angiosperms. They existed in kailan? Cretaceous. Okay, around 100 million years ago. Cretaceous. So yung first flowering plants or angiosperms, they evolved from your conifers. Number 7, some of the oldest microfossils are dated at about blank years of age. Okay, yes, 3.1, particularly stromatolites for your cyanobacteria or the blue-green algae. So they are considered living fossils. Number 8, extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs occurred about, okay, 65 million years ago, corresponding to your KPG extinction event. Number 9, if all geological time was condensed into 1 year, then the evolution of the first multi-celled animals occurred in November 16 na daw. But it's November 15. Primarily, your first multi-celled organisms occurred during the Ediacaran period. So around 635 million years ago. So if you divide it with the 4.6 million years na age ng Earth, you'll arrive sa date na to. Okay, number 10. During radioactive decay, what will be the parent-daughter ratio after 3 half-lives? Uh-huh. What will be the parent-daughter ratio after 3 half-lives? Okay, it's letter D, 1:7. How? Yes. Okay, sige. We'll explain. So for example, this is your radioactive na isotope and it has undergone radioactive decay. So for it to undergo half-life, magkakaroon ka ng 1:1 ratio between your parent and daughter. So I'll be denoting X as your daughter and then Y as the parent. So this is for 1 half-life. If it undergoes another na half-life, ano mangyayari? Okay, further madi-divide siya. So yung mangyayari is, magkakaroon ka ng, so di ba dito, ito yung mo yung daughter, so hindi mo na kayo lang hatiin. So hatiin mo na lang si parent. So maiwan na lang isang parent, then ito, yan. So it will comprise, 75% na yung daughter. So kapag i-ratio natin siya, okay. So in this case, if ang natin is parent-daughter ratio, naka 1:3 na tayo. Okay? So if it will further undergo another decay, di ba X na to sa lahat? Then ito yung Y. So yung Y, madi-divide pa sa further. Mahap pa siya. So ito yung Y, and then ito X. So what happens here? O yun. So, 1:7 na siya. So 1, 2, 3. Ay, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? Yes. Ika-fourth na half-life, i-half mo lang ulit yung yung Y. Okay, number 11, also known as the age of reptiles. Age of reptiles. Yes, Mesozoic. Number 12, when did coral reefs first appeared? Okay, so references, ano ba? It ranges from around 500 to 535. So it's during Cambrian actually. Or yung medyo recent pa is around kwan siya, early Ordovician. Okay, so it's 535. Okay. So first corals, mainly they are, no, anong species ba yun? Anthozoa? I know, not Anthozoa. It might be likely tabulate or rugose corals because they are the ones na extinct. So currently, yung modern corals, those are scleractinian. Anyhow, number 13, also known as stony corals. Nabanggit ko lang bago, it's scleractinia. Actually, staghorn corals are examples of your scleractinia. Yung staghorn na mga corals, they are, ano ba, parang elongated, radial-like, not radial-like, but branching ng mga corals. Rugose and tabulata, they are reforming organisms that are already extinct rather. Okay, question. Anong class under ang corals? Okay, Cnidaria. So part of that are your sea anemones, ano pa? Sea sponges. Sponges are porifera man atang sponges. Yeah. Ano pa? You also have your sea fans. Number 14. How many epochs comprise the Cenozoic era? Okay, enumerate. Paleocene, Eocene, Oligocene, Miocene, Pliocene, Pleistocene, Holocene. So that's 7. Yung last 2, they belong to quaternary. The rest are, okay, tertiary. Number 15, Age of Ammonites. Yes, Jurassic. Hindi siya Age of Dinosaurs, but it's the Age of Ammonites. Number 16, what is the oldest known fossil in the Philippines? Where can it be? Ischia sp. Dicelia. So based off rin sa conglomerate in Mansalay, Mindoro. Punso. Sige, I'll have it checked. Okay, so I extracted this from the National Museum. But anyway, number 17, family where the extinct horses belong. Horsidae, Proboscidae, Equidae in the Yorni. Okay, it's Equidae. Proboscidae, these are the elephants. Neornithes, these are your birds or aves. Horsidae, walang ganitong term. Number 18. The following are ichnofossils or trace fossils except, yes, both are considered what? Exactly. They are considered body fossils. Number 19. An index fossil must be blank except. What's your answer for those joining online? Merong ibang sagot? Okay, tama. It's letter D, long time range. Kasi dapat short time range siya. Okay. Number 20. There are how many inferred major extinction? There are 5. Sige, paki-enumerate nga. Ano yung first? Ordovician, Silurian, late Devonian, okay, Permian Triassic, and then the KTG extinction. Number 21. This encompasses all four-limbed vertebrates. Okay, wag kayong mapanito kapag quad. But yung answer is tetrapods. Number 22. Which of these fish classes are believed to be the origin of land terrestrial vertebrates? Mainly yung Tiktaalik-Rosae. Yes. Ano? Okay, it's letter B. Sarcopterygi. Actinopterygi, they are known as ray-finned fish. Chondric thighs, they are cartilaginous fishes. Placodermata, they are armored fishes. An example is Dunkleosteus. Agnatha, on the other hand, ano ba itong Agnatha? Jawless fish. So this includes conodons. What are conodons, guys? They are also known as tooth fossils. So present na mga counterparts ng Agnatha include lampreys and hagfishes. Okay, number 23, Archaeopteryx was discovered in this labyrinth. Okay, Solnhofen limestone. Okay, this is the Archaeopteryx, and then the other one is the quarry site in Germany, in Solnhofen. Okay, so other Lagerstate or Lagerstatten kapag plural or as follows. Ang dami niya, meron pa dito. But familiarize the common ones. Examples include La Brea tar pits, your Burgess shale, ano pa? Ayun, last topic na tayo. Dropsy. Okay. So at some point during my undergrad years, I love Dropsy, pero nakalimutan ko na most of the contents nito. So, na lang, more on question and answer na lang to siya. And some inputs. Okay, so this is the Southeast Asia. Okay? Anong meron dito? Ano yung mga main na mga tectonic features? On your east, you have the diamond-like feature. You have the Philippine Sea Plate. This one, the Philippine Mobile Belt. This one, you have the Palawan Microcontinental Block. Along this part, you have the Sunda microplate. Here, you have the Eurasian plate. Along this part, you have the Indo-Australian plate. Okay? So delving further, mag-zoom in tayo, Philippine context, we have, or the Philippines is bounded by different subduction zones as manifested by the trenches. On the east, you have Philippine Trench and the East Luzon Trough. So East Luzon Trough is considered as an aulacogen. It's a failed reef. Along with this is your Benham Rise or your Benham Plateau. Part of this is the largest caldera, known as the Apo-Laki or Apo-Lakay caldera. On the west, you have Manila Trench. Along this portion, you have the Negros Sulu Trench. And then, west of Cotabato, you have Cotabato Trench. So, transecting the Philippines, you have the 1,250 kilometer fault. The Philippine Fault Zone, a left lateral strike slip fault with numerous plays. Okay, ano pa? Along this portion, along this part, ito, anong tawag dito? It's a triple junction. So mainly between your Philippine Sea Plate, your Eurasian Plate, and then yung plate na nasa. Okay, ano pa ba? Okay, along the Philippine Trench, ano yung pinakamalalim na point? Pinakamalalim na point sa Philippine Trench. Starts with letter G. G. Last letter A. Okay, Galathea. Galathea depth. Okay, ano pa? Other important na information related to Dropsy. Well, ano yung formation na may pinakamataas na formation but stratigraphic block na may pinakamakapal na sedimentary cover? Okay, Agusan Davao Basin. Thickness is approximately 12,000 meters. Okay. Ano yung relatively faster part sa Philippines? Yung nag-move. Yung may medyo mabilis na spreading rate. Sa Philippines, anong particular island yung medyo mabilis yung plate movement? Panay? Okay, actually, tama ba? Papaki ko na lang, counter check, but it's somewhere here. Okay, then ano pa ba? Well, for dito, yung sa kwan mo, sa Negros Luna Trench, along this particular portion, particularly around northwestern South Sulu Basin and then southeastern Sulusi Basin rather, meron siyang difference. One is continental in affinity, the other one is oceanic in affinity. So other points that I'd like to highlight is, in this case, the Philippine Sea Plate, mainly, it's basaltic in composition. Same with South China Sea, which is your oceanic leading edge ng Eurasian Plate. Pero bakit meron tayong mga ophiolites which are ultramafics? Paano nagkaroon ng ganun? Okay, exactly.